I'm Mike Kennedy, board chair of the Downtown Austin Alliance, and I want to thank all of you for being here for our first ever Future of Downtown event. I'd like to acknowledge some of the public officials in the room: Mayor Steve Adler, Kathy Tovo, Councilmember Tovo, Councilmember Natasha Harper Madison, Councilmember Pio Renteria, Councilmember Leslie Poole, and former mayor, and I'm looking for him out there, Lee Cook. Hello, Lee. You need to get downtown more often. So, great downtowns don't just happen without vision and leadership to sustain them. I'd like to thank our members and working board members, both past, on whose shoulders we stand, Charlie, and present, for supporting the mission of the Downtown Austin Alliance for 26 years. Your time, wisdom, and expertise are invaluable to what has happened in our downtown. Just last year, I was honored to chair the Downtown Austin Vision Steering Committee, made up of 18 leaders from across our whole city of Austin. As a group, they recognize the importance of downtown Austin and community planning for the future of a downtown for all. We turned this community's 20-year vision, taking us to the year 2039, which is the 200th year of Austin's founding, and began the implementation of that vision with a 5-year strategic plan for downtown Austin. Some of the things we've accomplished this year in the first year are determining indicators to measure progress towards that 2039 goal, and started forming coalitions to realize the vision because we can't do it alone. The DAA continues to be the downtown's most impactful, full-time advocate. We continue to maintain the high standards of cleaning and safety downtown through the full-time ambassador program, who are those folks you frequently see in the orange DAA branded shirts. The DAA funding of off-duty police patrolling the DAA Public Improvement District. We operate and manage Republic Square, hosting 104 days of free community programming for 135,000 attendees. I can tell you, as a resident of downtown for 10 years and having officed on Congress Avenue for 33 years, walking through the beauty, the peacefulness, the calmness of that space in the southwest sector of what is now a bustling downtown is something I truly appreciate every time I pass through. And those of you in the room who have been downtown and in the city for a while know that that wasn't always the case. So we've revitalized educational program, including the first ever Future of Downtown Parks and this Future of Downtown event. And we've unveiled the first ever State of Downtown report. So as we move forward with realizing this vision, and with these first-time efforts, it appears we've continued to learn and make downtown better, even at the ripe old age of 26 years of our organization. So I'd like to say thank you to the sponsors of our State of Downtown report and this event: DPR Construction, STG Design, Brandywine Realty Trust, and Capital Metro. As part of the mission of the Downtown Alliance, it's to activate our downtown. So we've activated this event for you today so you can experience the future of downtown. I hope you will take or have taken the opportunity to take a look at the buildings, renderings, color with a local artist, experience virtual reality, and enjoy our pocket patio. Now I'm happy to introduce Mayor Steve Adler and Mr. Dee Peart, CEO of the Downtown Austin Alliance, to talk more about the report and realizing the vision for downtown Austin. Mayor Adler.
I tell you, this feels like a party. It is a party. You know, there's so many things right happening in this city. We, for the third year in a row, ranked #1 in U.S. News and World Report as the best city to live in the country. And with that award, we were what, second in the year before that, switching places back and forth with Denver. I'm reminded of something that former Mayor Will Wynn told me. That 20 years ago, Austin and Denver were ranked 1 and 2 by the U.S. News and World Report. Back then, even still, as the two cities that had the deadest downtowns in the country. And I think that's true because I trust everything that Will Wynn tells me. But if you remember what downtown looked like 20 years ago, I mean, the changes that have occurred, just several hundred people live in downtown. The change, the progress, the increase of the power and resources that downtown creates to be able to improve quality life all across the city is extraordinary in this period of time. But I think it's also real important to note that does not happen by chance. It doesn't happen just because. It happens because there were people in this city 20 years ago that had a very specific design and plan for what our downtown could be. So what we're seeing here today is the realization of that work. And it's a good thing to know and to remember because it tells us that being deliberate now can have that same kind of change and that same kind of impact as we move forward. We have a spectacular downtown, a downtown that is the economic engine for our entire city. Quite frankly, the economic engine for our region. The downtown and the numbers that are going to be presented in this report are just absolutely overwhelming. The combined tax revenue coming from downtown totaled last year at $540 million, just downtown area. The downtown share of property value has doubled in the last 10 years. And it is contributing 20 times more than the average area in this city. You know, I tell people a lot that live in Austin that if they want a pocket park in their town, in their neighborhood, or a clinic in their neighborhood, more than anything else, they should be wishing for another high-rise condo to be built downtown. Because that's how we pay for those things in our region. This is where the energy comes from. It's where the resources, it's where the value comes from in our region. And this is a real exciting time for downtown. It's good we're going to go through the numbers. I'm real excited about what's going to happen in the next 10 years and 20 years in our downtown with the kinds of things that are planned for our city. I'm real excited with the initiative that Councilmember Tovo is initiating to have a Palm School District and to really look at planning in the southeast part of our downtown, which I think has the potential to together with what I believe is an important convention center expansion to build off of the University of Texas design work and really open up 2nd Street and connect that into Waller Creek and to create greater community benefits and community space as we approach a convention center for the next generation with the same eye that we created a library here for the next generation. We have that opportunity in our city. I'm excited that some of the challenges that we've had downtown, homelessness being one of the significant challenges downtown and around the city, that we now have the whole community working in concert together in ways that have not happened before. and finding dedicated resources to be able to address the challenge in ways that we couldn't before. Having turned up the potential for $30 million more of extra capacity in the Waller Creek TIF as we build a linear park that 150 years from now may be the only thing that people remember about our time here in Austin, Texas. But the $5 to $10 million in dedicated income that could come from an expanded convention center, to actually be able to use the power and resources of downtown to address that homelessness challenge, which is our #1 priority in our city. This is an exciting time for our downtown. It's an exciting time for our city, and those two things go hand in hand. There are a lot of people in this room that I want to thank for the effort and work and time that you're spending thinking about downtown and the way that it can guarantee for us the quality of life and the future we want to have. It is the key and the engine for us being able to preserve what it is that is special about the soul of this place. So thanks everybody for being here, and these numbers are real impressive, Dee, and I can't wait for you to start going through them. I want to thank you for helping to create the foundation here, the Downtown Foundation, Downtown Austin Alliance Foundation. We cannot solve the municipal challenges we have in this city with government alone. We don't have the resources to do it. It is really the philanthropic work. It is the businesses. It is the private-public partnerships that really make this stuff happen. And for that reason, I want to thank the folks in this room as well. Dee.
Good evening, everyone. Just a warning, I'm a recovering accountant, so this may get real boring. So if you want another drink, the bars are open. But I do like numbers. So the Downtown Austin Alliance has a vision. We strive to create, preserve, and enhance the value and vitality of downtown Austin. The word create here is very important. What it means to us are new things are coming to downtown. Mike talked about the vision for downtown. It has 4 key priorities. It begins with the thriving center where there are welcoming places and growing neighborhoods and improved mobility and access. A major element of implementing the vision for downtown is the activation of public spaces. The Downtown Austin Alliance Foundation is a significant step in creating a more active public realm downtown. Today, we are releasing the first annual economic development report for downtown Austin. It's titled State of Downtown. Everyone will receive a copy of the report on your way out. This is really the beginning of us reporting annually on the progress we're making towards the vision. And when I say making progress, and we, I mean all of us, right? This is bigger than the Downtown Austin Alliance. It's a 20-year vision, as Mike mentioned, and we're looking for it to take us to the year 2039. My talk tonight is very top line. It's a view of the economic competitiveness of our downtown, and it serves to paint a picture of how downtown is for everyone. For any downtown, there are 5 strengths or measures that urban centers consider important. First is the economy. Downtown has a diverse array of employment opportunities. 63% of the jobs are found in the knowledge industry, public administration, and food and beverage sectors. 27 million visitors spending $325 million annually here establishes a very vibrant place. Downtown has a strong identity. It's symbolic. It really sets the brand for the city and the region. When people around the world think of Austin, the image in their mind is downtown Austin. Downtown's healthy tax base and property values provide stability and resilience for the city. So, the overall economic picture for downtown looks like this. $13 billion in taxable property value. 1 acre of land in downtown, as the mayor mentioned, generates 20 times more tax revenue than an acre anywhere else in the city. So bear with me a little bit on some more of these numbers. We currently have 26 projects under construction that are totaling 11 million square feet. 32 projects are in the planning stage. These projects have the potential of adding an additional 9.3 million square feet to downtown. Downtown currently has a job force of 94,000, diverse and heavily concentrated. There are 15,000 residents that call downtown home, and there currently exists 15 million square feet of multi-tenant office space. Now let's talk a little bit about the tax impact. Shown here on the screen is a 3D model of the entire city. It's a depiction of the potency of the tax value on a per acre basis. As I mentioned earlier, 1 acre downtown is 20 times more potent than another acre somewhere else in the city of Austin. Important to understand, downtown Austin makes up only 1% of the city's land area, but it comprises 10% of the city's taxable assessed value. In other words, downtown Austin provides 10% of the city's revenues. Consider on top of that 1/3 of downtown is tax exempt and 50% is public space. The downtown still contributed over $1.5 billion in combined tax revenue in 2018. Another interesting example, the Frost Bank Tower sits on 1.4 acres. The tower generates real estate taxes that are equal to 50 Barton Creek malls. Right. So Barton Creek Mall is on 36 acres. So 1.5 acres downtown equals 1,800 acres in assessed taxable value. It's incredible. There remains tremendous development opportunity potential for downtown. The Alliance commissioned a capacity analysis 1.5 years ago to demonstrate the prospective development for downtown. At the completion of the inventory 18 months ago, there was 60 million square feet built in downtown. We continue to track this activity and specifically the emerging projects. Today, these are the figures. There are 70 million square feet built or under construction currently, 48 million square feet of potential development remaining under the current land development code. Of that 48 million, there is approximately 9 million in the planning stage currently. Later this year, we will have completed a market demand and economic impact analysis that we are doing in collaboration with Capital City Innovation. We will anticipate these findings will demonstrate the need for more district plans. Planning is essential. The strength of any city, of any downtown, comes from its neighborhoods. In addition, we believe the development opportunities projected for downtown call for the new land development code to pay special attention to the urban core and its plans. There is the opportunity to increase density downtown to ultimately take advantage of all that downtown can offer the city: tax revenue and jobs. Okay, so let's dive into some of the product types just a little bit deeper. I mentioned earlier that we have 15 million square feet of multi-tenant office space. Total inventory downtown is 25 million square feet of office space. The difference is really the public sector buildings. So growth since 2010 in office space has been 17%. Office vacancy rate is 5.4%, which is very low. 5 developments delivered since 2015 represent about 12% of our supply. We have 21 co-working spaces downtown and 178 tech companies that are located downtown. Something that we found interesting, WeWork, the concentration of WeWork and the presence of WeWork in downtown Austin is third behind London and New York, right? Which is incredible. So talk about what the future might look like. So residential development has grown significantly also. Imagine Austin projected 30,000 residents by the year 2030. Amazingly, we are now halfway there. There are currently 11,000 housing units downtown. The growth of housing units since 2010 has been 66%, compared to 7% for the city as a whole. Downtown has added 2,800 residents since 2015. Just under half, 46% of the residents are between the ages of 25 and 34. It is a very young city. Population growth downtown since 2010 is at 85%, compared to 19% citywide. Some tourism stats. We have 10,000 hotel rooms and over 13,000 hospitality jobs downtown. That's more than 1 job per hotel room, which is incredible. Growth in rooms since 2010, 87%. 1/3 of all Austin hotels are downtown, but that 1/3 accounts for 1/2 of the hotel occupancy tax collected. Hotel jobs downtown represent the second fastest job sector growth. The last product type that I'll talk about is retail. So retail inventory downtown is 1.8 million square feet. Growth since 2010 has only been 4%. So this is a likely indicator that we may be underserved in retail, something for us to consider. For downtown, there are 540 retail establishments. 1/2 of those are bars and restaurants. Heavy concentration, no surprise. The retail concentration downtown is 326 establishments per square mile versus 15 per square mile citywide. Okay, I'm going to move into the urban greenbelt. 1/2 of downtown is public space. Also to note, there are 190 historic structures downtown, 30 different parks, 114 public art installations, and 11 community centers. This 5-mile connected greenbelt gives our downtown an advantage over most other U.S. cities. And it essentially provides us a unique opportunity to interconnect downtown with our neighbors. It's critically important to recognize that as downtown grows denser, parks and public spaces become more vital to our quality of life. Yes. So as mentioned earlier, Republic Square, we commonly use the terminology place activation to describe bringing the public realm to life. And activation is a very important part of the downtown vision. As many of you know, the Downtown Austin Alliance manages, operates, and programs Republic Square. Doing so is teaching us a tremendous amount. Mike mentioned earlier, we've had over 100 days of programming, all open to the public. The number of participants, 135,000, which is incredible. If you haven't seen it, the yoga in the park is unbelievable, right? The entire park, there's not a place for another mat in the park. For public space, the vision for downtown calls for it to be accessible and available to everyone. And that's one of our major goals, right? We want downtown to be for everyone. So with all of this great stuff happening, we do have headwinds ahead of us. In the visioning process, the number one issue that was raised by the participants was the homelessness situation. Second was mobility, right? Both of these are loud calls for action. So homelessness being the number one issue in the vision. Sadly, 140 individuals who are experiencing homelessness died on the streets in Austin last year, in 2018. The latest available HUD data for 2015 to 2018 reported that the U.S. unsheltered homeless population increased by 16.5%. In Austin, our increase was 52% of unsheltered. Of great concern is the fact that no additional shelter beds have been built in Austin since 2004, the opening of the Arch. This heat map demonstrates the concentration of homelessness in downtown. 713 individuals, 1/3 of Austin's homeless population, reside within 1/4 mile of the Arch. The unsheltered population in this area has grown 53% in the last 2 years. The Downtown Austin Alliance is working every day with the city and many service providers in an attempt to find ways to improve the situation, particularly for those who really need the help. The Alliance is working to address this issue through public advocacy, policy advocacy, community education, direct services, and funding. So on to mobility. The current mobility challenges in Austin are a potential tourniquet for downtown. If we don't solve this, it chokes us, right, eventually. Of the 94,000 employees who work downtown, 71% live within the city limits. We ought to be able to figure this out, right? The current commute mode split on the chart above shows that 80% of downtown workers commute by single occupancy vehicle. This is just simply unheard of in other major U.S. cities. Even of the downtown residents, 61% commute using single occupancy vehicles. City Council's newly adopted strategic mobility plan calls for a 50-50 mode split. That means a significant reduction in the use of single occupancy vehicles. To accomplish this reduction of 30%, downtown is going to have to carry that burden, right? I mean, it's the major employment center. So the only viable solution to meeting these mobility goals is to have a robust transit system. Today, only 3% of downtown commuters use transit. That needs to be fixed. The public engagement process for Project Connect is beginning. It's now beginning. We all need to get involved. As downtown continues to grow towards full capacity, there needs to be more efficient use of our roadway capacity. Most importantly for downtown, it will be essential to link housing and jobs along future transit corridors. Cap Metro has an interactive session in the back. Please visit it, and I encourage everyone to begin participating in Cap Metro's public engagement meetings for Project Connect. Okay, so to finish up here, we have a new website that just launched today, downtownaustin.com. It's really rich with data, so a lot of the information I talked about is always available on the website. We have data and information and reports that can be found there, and certainly make use of it. And a new element that's interesting that we call Explore Downtown. So there's a link on the website. It's a resource. It's a new live map of all the spaces, places, and events that are publicly accessible downtown. So at any moment, you can search and you will know what's happening downtown. The map details everything: the location, public art installations, live music, happy hours. It's real time. Everything that's happening downtown every day can be found here. So go to Explore Downtown through the link and begin using it. And as a special bonus, next year at this event, we'll be able to share the data from the resource so that we understand the activity that's happening downtown. It's very exciting. Thank you for your attention. I will turn the podium over now to our speakers, who will, I promise, be a lot more exciting than I was.
Let me bring this down a little bit. There we go. How you guys doing? So I am going to talk a little bit about data, but I'm going to take it in a playful way. Here we go. And talk about data in cities. If I can get this going. There we go. So cities are dynamic centers of art, culture, economic drivers like jobs and retail, and most recently, vast amounts of data, like we've just heard. Whether it's data generated by the computer in your pocket to the data generated by a variety of sensors and interconnected objects placed around the city, the combination of our physical environment and technology in our hands and what surrounds us gives us unlimited opportunities to reimagine how we live, work, learn, and play. So we've spent the past decades addicting everyone to one of these, right? Yes? Okay. And we've quantified everything. How many of you have a wearable? Hold it up, right? Okay, a few of you. However, the data remains unseen. It's invisible. And oftentimes, in my mind, it's just boring. So this vast amounts of invisible data generated by cities and the people who inhabit them presents an enormous opportunity. An opportunity to design meaningful, personalized experiences and respond to what people want, need, and desire, especially when we take into consideration that 54% of the 7 billion people on this planet now live in cities, and almost everyone owns or uses mobile phones. And the potential outreach and reach of creating these new experiences is huge. So let me ask you a question. How does a city become a platform for people to have meaningful, playful participation? My research is grounded in participatory culture, which was coined by Henry Jenkins more than 25 years ago. And when I think about the future of play in a city, I want to embody the attributes of participatory culture, a culture where there's relatively low barriers for engagement, where there's strong support for sharing with others, that there's opportunities for informal mentorship, and that you believe that your contribution matters, and you care about others' opinions of both self and work. Now, it's not that every member must contribute, but that all believe they are free to contribute when they're ready. This low barrier to engagement often points towards light narratives and game-like experiences. So let's take, for example, Ingress. How many of you know of Ingress? Raise your hand. A few of you? Okay, I'm going to explain it a little bit. This is an alternate reality game, which we call ARGs, and they're designed by, this one is designed by Niantic Labs to guide users to public art distributed throughout the city. It's a light narrative built into this ARG, and it's kept players engaged and has sustained long-term playability for years. Now, while my students and Pocket of Gamers in multiple cities have participated in Ingress over the years, it wasn't until Niantic partnered with Nintendo and launched Pokemon Go that the data set established within Ingress that we all built became the overnight success that we all know it was. Now, when Pokemon Go hit, how many of y'all have played Pokemon Go? A few of you? Okay. We need to get more players in this city. When it hit, I was actually on Route 66. How many of you have been on Route 66, right? Go straight through Texas. And I was building a very different style location-based ARG. And I decided at that moment to stop in every major city to gather data on the engagement happening with this phenomenon of Pokemon Go. Now, what I found out was it was an overnight success that had some social capital, but not a deep connection to a sense of place or long-term change in motivating people to put down their phones and play together in their city. Location-based games like Ingress or Pokemon Go, or wearables such as the Apple Watch or a Fitbit, present unique opportunities for overlaying digital layers of information and entertainment experiences onto our physical world. They can alert wearers to important milestones. They can include a layer of competition and offer location-based story adventures. However, wearables often connect to our mobile devices and have done little to connect people to cities beyond wayfinding or mapping runs and sharing your workout. So the examples I've shared with you so far are connected to this. And we think this is mobile today. But what if we think of mobile as an action, not an object in hand? Mobile needs to evolve beyond applications to something that's more responsive, more personal, and at the same time offer shared experiences amongst people. Some people think that the future is augmented reality, that it's the democratizing force, that it will finally reveal the data left unseen. But let's take the definition of augment to consider how we play in our city. At the basic level, augment is make something greater by adding to it. And augmenting our reality opens up new possibilities for playing in story worlds that are integrated into our everyday life. Now, I'm new to Austin, and of course I've heard one of your slogans, Keep Austin Weird. I fell in love with it my first month here as I was designing my projects for students. So I developed a Keep Austin Weird story project for my experimental storytelling class. The goal of this project this semester was to create a location-based story that augments a real-world location and has one physically interact and emotionally connect with the place through story. Now, new to Austin, this was a delightful way to better learn my new city. I went to 15 different locations, including Hippie Hollow. The students loved to share that one. But what I loved was actually this dog petting simulator that took me on to Redbud Isle, a new place to actually share with my dog, but also taking me on a surprising story adventure. And this is on Field Day Eris if you want to download it and try it out next time you're at Redbud Isle. Now, mobile as an action has been a mantra that I've taught to my students. It's what I've designed for when I build my own projects, and it's beginning to take shape in how we augment our city. Often, entertainment and gaming lead in early adoption, and this is CARPE, which stands for Collaborative Augmented Reality Play Experiences. It was my approach in augmenting the physical with the digital in a Nerf meets Nintendo style game. About a year ago, actually, a year ago on Mother's Day, I had my first play test with CARPE with the goal of developing an intergenerational experiences to get families up, active, and playing outside together. Take a look at what they had to say.
I love that this combines technology with getting outdoors and running around, moving your body, exercising.
Yeah, you're not
I
inside
love
playing a
that.
video game. That was
That's
cool.
my favorite element, I think, of the game.
It's the kind of thing that you can get a whole batch of people together to have fun and run around, adults, kids, whatever.
My mom is 74, and she got the highest points. Well, I think that the game becomes about the game and not about the device.
CARPE is an example of reimagining mobile as an action, not an object. And it allows us to explore the idea of what a screen can be in our public spaces, like our parks. But mobile as an action is not just about getting people off the couch. It's also about mobilizing together and solving real-world problems in playful ways that are responsive, responsible, and remarkable. Raise your hand if you've actually heard of the Fun Theory project by Volkswagen. Anyone? A few of you? So for those of you who don't know, Volkswagen designed the Fun Theory project to engage citizens and challenge them to make their cities more playful and enchanted. And they accomplished this by soliciting ideas and prototypes for public interactive experiences that promoted behavioral change, such as making recycling or obeying the speed limit more fun, or my favorite, encouraging people to use the stairs through play. So here's my favorite, just a short snip. It's not that Austin hasn't already started on this path. Just last month, my family visited Hopscotch. Have any of you heard of Hopscotch? A few of you? Here in Austin was a pop-up with 13 installations created by Austin artists to encourage guests to participate and explore their surroundings in a playful manner. However, there were some downfalls too that make me feel like we can do better. One, it was a paid experience, so it limited the audience. It was set indoors, and it was a pop-up that won't have permanent space here in Austin, but rather it's moving to San Antonio, which is a bummer since I'm new to Austin and want things like that here. So my challenge to all of us is, how can Austin embrace these playful interactions more permanently in our public spaces, not just as a pop-up or not just during South by, and we mobilize Austin towards a future that is responsive, responsible, and remarkable. These larger scale interactive experiences that engage communities with advances in Internet of Things, wearables, and blending the digital and physical spaces is our future. And it opens up new doors to visualize otherwise invisible data in the world around us. Ubiquitous computing. It's almost imperceptible, but it's everywhere around us, and it's rapidly becoming a reality. And that is why I believe that an ecosystem of data-driven, playful experiences can be designed to promote brands in new ways. We can engage citizens more meaningfully, more deeply, and we can build a stronger communities within our city. Thank you.
Hello. So I just wanted to say that I was in New Orleans at Jazz Fest. All the flights were canceled. I got to Dallas last night at 2 a.m. I got up at 4 a.m. I got here. I'm really happy to be here. And so there's no PowerPoint. And so I'm just going to give you some of my thoughts. And I'll be reading a lot. So I wanted to start by relating with all of you and asking you to close your eyes. You're in a safe place. Just close your eyes. It won't be long. Instead of talking about myself at the beginning of this exploration about downtown, I wanted to ask you to, in your mind, think about what a musician is to you. Whether it's someone very famous or whatever comes up for you at first, and just hold that vision in your thoughts for a minute. Okay. So what defines a musician to you? Are they smart, talented, hardworking, mysterious? Are they dreamers? Are they lazy? Are they lucky to not really have a real job? What is a musician to you? And maybe not everyone will answer yes, but do you value them? Good. Do you know what the musician community and music industry workers as well have created of value in downtown Austin and greater Austin? How many of you have lived here for more than 10 years? Okay. More than 20 years? More than 30 years? 5 years? 2 years? 1 year? Okay, I'll try to move along, but I just wanted to create that experience and kind of see what's going on. So now I'll make it personal. And I think that's very important. Here are some things that some of the folks who are with the Downtown Alliance worked into this document that we worked on together, and that said about me. I'm Patrice Pike. I'm an award-winning Billboard charting musician and songwriter. Thanks. Thank you. I came to Austin from Dallas when I was 21 years old. I am the founder of multiple bands, Little Sisters, Sister Seven, Patrice Pike Band, and most recently Pike and Sutton, which they just released ACL Festival lineup and we're in it, so I'm really excited about that. Thanks. So that's not all. I run 2 businesses and I play many roles in my business life, and I'm also a householder and a primary breadwinner. I left home when I was 16 to build a career in music. I started the nonprofit Step Onward Foundation through engaging my friends and my fan base. Our mission is to break the cycle of homelessness for young adult survivors of childhood homelessness and for families put at risk of homelessness through their children's health care crises. In 15 years, we've raised over $1 million to put young adult survivors of homelessness through school and to keep, thanks. And to keep families who have their children in pediatric cancer units from being evicted from their homes. So it's often assumed that if people are musicians, they only work at night. In addition to practicing and performing and booking performances, advancing shows, managing personnel, I run social media campaigns and promote my shows. With Step Onward, I'm on call for our recipients across the country, advising them and funding the gaps in their college education journeys, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. I'm cutting checks weekly for families that are at risk of losing their homes while their child is in treatment for cancer, and we have 75 college students we're supporting with college funding in Kenya and South Sudan. The point is, musicians are often multidimensional entrepreneurs and skilled workers. You live in a city full of us. And so the key takeaways on how this relates to the future of downtown. I've been really nervous about this because I don't know if you'll like what I have to say. So musicians built a primary, broadly desired aspect of the culture of Austin, which has been a powerhouse part of the city's economy. Downtown and downtown's value would not exist as it is without the musicians who reside here. The musicians that built downtown are human and need to be invested in to keep contributing to the value of downtown. Just like public spaces, businesses, and buildings need to be invested in to continue producing value. So musicians and nonprofits. The community has started nonprofits to support musicians, and you probably know about some of them: HAM, SIMS, Black Fret, Austin Music Foundation, and more. Musicians like myself had started nonprofits to give back to the community at large as well, and I'm not the only one. Musicians are often asked to do charity events, and often for free or for a discount. We can't know the exact dollar amount that musicians have given over the years, but it's a lot. And it's another example of the value that we have created in this city. Experienced musicians often choose to create a specific nonprofit because they're often asked to do so many charity performances. This helps us narrow our focus so we know what charity events to say yes to. When I started the nonprofit Step Onward, I didn't know it was going to be a primary focus in my work life and legacy. Musicians and the changing income stream landscape. We talk a lot about the music industry, but not always about how musicians are humans, not just young people, but people of all ages. Many lifelong musicians are concerned in our city. They ask, what am I going to do when I can't make a living playing in bars anymore? Our income streams changed dramatically and immediately at the birth of streaming. Simultaneously, the cost of living skyrocketed in Austin in the last decade. We have HAM and we have SIMS, but there isn't a musicians union with a retirement plan options and community advocates working to make sure we're paid appropriately. There are always ways to support the actual human beings that are creating art and culture here. So this is where I get to innovation, and I really appreciate all your attention, especially after only sleeping for 2 hours. Innovating ways we support the future of musicians and industry workers for the future of downtown is possible. I really believe that. And a lot of people I know have been talking about it, but I wanted you to hear it from one of us. We can attribute the value of downtown to musicians, venues, and the service industry who weave together the culture of this downtown. Why did Google move here? Indeed. Facebook? And what does the culture mean to you? Often the feedback is in large part to our live music culture. Downtown thrives and many people thrive who have made money working with musicians. As you saw earlier last year, the 27 million tourists coming to Austin spent over $8 billion, 4,000 hotel rooms added to downtown since 2010. 4,946 jobs added in accommodation and food service since 2010. Lifelong musicians who have made a 40 to 50-year contribution have a quantifiable investment in this city, yet are still not able to retire. Many younger musicians are unable to make a sustainable living. The city subsidizes a lot of things, but I don't believe they've ever subsidized the people who have generated hundreds of thousands of dollars and perhaps even millions in tax revenue through the music industry since the 1970s. Addressing the future of downtown requires us to consider the contribution that musicians have made to Austin and ask what part of that pie economically has been distributed to other places. Sometimes people get irritated at the conversation of analyzing the past patterns of distribution of wealth, but just a few days ago on my way to work, which is at the Saxon Pub on Thursday night, I heard Ray Dalio, founder of Bridgewater Assets Management on NPR, talking about this and that we need to re-engineer how it's done to assure the outcomes are what we want them to be. He said he is a product of the age of it working differently, and we need to evolve. That was his specific word. And this is a part of that conversation in our community. There have been some very deliberate changes to downtown. I moved here in 1992 when I was 21 years old, and I'm now 48 years old. Those changes that were very deliberate impacted the music community, and it's made it more difficult for musicians to make a living here. Downtown Alliance exists to preserve and enhance the value and vitality of downtown. What do we value? What are solutions to preserve what we value? For example, Downtown Austin Alliance is funded by a very small tax assessment on taxes from commercial properties. Could a 0.1% tax assessment on hotels downtown go to musicians? The city is always finding creative ways to fund things. Can the city and businesses invest in musicians in a transformative way? Quantifiable, transformative way that is based on data available now and in the immediate future. Can we create something like Austin Corporate Alliance for Musicians and Music Industry Workers? The reason I gave you my background on developing nonprofit Step Onward Foundation is also I was on the board of directors for the Sims Foundation for 5 years when Ray Benson was helping to develop HAM. And I think it's important to build a consciousness around these issues. Austin is a compassionate community. And the question is, can we harness the passion for music and our culture? It's not whether you're from here or not that's important. It's what you intend to do when you get here. Since we know HAM and Sims are successful and are doing a good job at healthcare and mental health care, we have historical context of how those things were developed and how to do it well. These Austin nonprofits have been nationwide thought leaders through their awareness and the actions of their board members and advisors. We have to have a different model because we're not a state that uses union model of compliance with sustainable business practices for a community of workers as in some other states like California and New York that have high populations of artists and musicians and entertainers. You can encourage our city government and corporations to create a specific plan with specific timelines and creative funding. Like other nonprofits and social entrepreneurship endeavors, it's important to figure out the funding mechanisms and managing of a fund before people would feel comfortable giving the money. A lot of foundations start under the umbrella of Austin Foundation, just like Step Onward Foundation. So in closing, these are often suggestions and solutions. Tip a band. Tip your bartender. Pay cover charges. In 1992, when I came to Austin, our cover charge was $10. At the Saxon Pub, right now, in 2019, my cover charge is $10. Hire a band for a private party for your company and pay a fair rate. I believe we can do bigger than that and better than that. And I love this city. I know a woman who is 90 years old, and I'm not going to say her name right now because I didn't ask her if I could. but she's 90 years old. This has been going on, especially in communities of people of color, since the 1950s and 1960s to musicians. She's 90 years old, she has healthcare needs, and I've been watching our community of musicians in Austin for 20 years watch over her and make sure that she has her rent covered. I believe that Austin can do better, and many of us believe transformational, innovative ideas are available. I believe it's possible to create a game-changing organization or one with an existing organization. What if many of you rose to the task? A game-changing effort would possibly look like this: putting an advisory panel together of CFOs and interested parties in tech and other corporate entities who are serious about action and collaborating with the organizations that are working hard already to deliver accurate information on what musicians need to maintain a strong and healthy musician population earning a living wage. Wouldn't it be sad that I've invested 30 years of my life in Austin if when I hopefully get to turn 90, I don't know where my next meal is coming from, and I don't know if my rent's going to be paid. So please don't leave us behind as you're developing downtown Austin. Thank you.
All right. Well, it's great to see all of you. I was almost there on raising my hand for every single question that got asked until you got to 30 years. And I missed that one. But all the Pokemon Go games and Ingress and everything else I had covered. But actually, it's also really great being up here. I moved here about 20 years ago, and Patrice was one of the first awesome musicians that I ever saw play. And so just particularly relevant, I think, being up here tonight. So Austin, it's the aspirational city. It's the city that every other city wants to be when they grow up. Every day I meet people coming here to Austin. I met someone today, she's here, trying to figure out what our secrets are so they can take them home. They know that they'll never be Silicon Valley. They know they'll never be Hollywood. But if they try really hard, just maybe someday they could be Austin. That's what they all feel like when they come here. And everyone wants to replicate what we've got. And what we've got is people, it's talent. That is the most important part. No matter which way you measure it, the talent is moving to Austin and to Texas. How many years in a row can we be the fastest growing city? Isn't that some kind of math problem? Like, I don't understand how that we can just keep being the fastest growing city. And it's not just Austin, it's Dallas and Houston and San Antonio too. It's all of Texas is attracting talent from California and from all over the world. And the people that are moving here, they create a true rising tide mentality. You know the saying that a rising tide lifts all boats. And that's something that Silicon Valley doesn't have, and probably never will. Nobody moves to Silicon Valley to go live there forever and build their families and their lives there. They go there to go make their fortunes, rape and pillage, and go home. That's the whole thing. They all plan on going home, go back to where they came from someday after they've made their fortunes and dominated the world. And that's not true about Austin. People that move here are moving here to build their families, to grow their lives. They want to invest in their community and make it better. And they want this to be a place that they're going to retire and that they're going to go, again, grow their families and where their kids are going to grow up. And you feel that here. That's a real different thing about it. And that's, I think, why we're all here today. And the talent in Austin wants to be downtown. You saw it on all the stats up there. That's where the jobs are. That's where the young people are moving. They want to live downtown. They want to work downtown. They want to play downtown. Downtown is the center of gravity for entrepreneurs and startups in Austin. It's already our innovation zone, and it's going to get better because of the work that Chris Lang is doing. I see him back here with the Capital City Innovation Group and breaking ground on their new building at Brackenridge and continuing to bring more of that down from the medical school. And it seems like all of tech and health are both converging on Waller Creek. It's just like this, it's all coming together downtown. All of the city's biggest entrepreneurial centers start downtown. We heard about WeWork, and this being one of their largest cities where they've been growing with, 5 or 6 locations, and I know more coming. Galvanize and Techstars and Mass Challenge, and of course, Capital Factory. And the corporate innovators, they're all downtown too. like Walmart and Microsoft and Oracle and Booz Allen Hamilton. This is where they're coming. And now we have our newest innovation center, the Army Futures Command. This is the biggest reorganization of the US Army in 45 years since Vietnam, and it puts all of the research and development and new products and other product acquisition where they spend their money under one command, under one general who sits here in Austin. And that's the first time it's ever been like that. Now for them, that's about making them more efficient so they can get products to the soldiers faster. That's a big part of it because it takes them a long time to do stuff right now. But it's really also about changing the culture of the Army. And one really important step of that was putting a 4-star general in the middle of an office building at UT System downtown. There's nowhere else like that. All of the other 4-star generals in the Army, they're on Army bases. That's where they work. That's where they go. And they wear uniforms every day. And they aren't in cities. And there aren't any other 4-star generals west of the Mississippi. They're all close to DC. They're all close to home. And so this was a really big deal for the Army. It may not seem like a big deal to us, but if you're not connected to it, but those two things were a really big deal, having it be that far away and having it be here in the middle of downtown. And that's going to bring a whole new industry to our city and to our downtown. Defense industry companies like Booz Allen, who I mentioned, IBM, Harris, L3, Northrop Grumman, Lockheed Martin, Microsoft, Boeing, they are all increasing their presence here. And we're going to see more and more of their logos on buildings downtown. And already we see more and more men and women in uniform walking up and down our streets, and I think we're going to see it start to change our skyline as well. And it's not just the Army. Austin is, in downtown Austin, is a living lab where the rest of the country comes to try new things. It's where the Army came. It's where ride sharing came and tested new things. It's where electric scooters came. We have autonomous cars. Austin's always leading the debate for the cutting edge things, and we're always right in the middle of it. And so, who knows what's going to be next? And that's why we need to keep investing in our downtown, because this is, as we saw, this is the heart of it and the center of it. It's not the only part of Austin, but it is part of what pumps and keeps it all going. So we need more tall buildings. We need to invest in transportation to keep downtown moving and to keep it walkable. We need to invest in social services to help people experiencing homelessness, because that is such one of our biggest challenges here. We need to support our downtown police. I saw Assistant Chief Newsom here, so thank you, Chief, for helping to keep us all safe. We need to support our creative and live music industry that helped make Austin what it is today. And we need to be creative about supporting events like South by Southwest and Formula One and others that sometimes are a big pain in the butt for downtown, but they bring new life into our community every year, and they're part of what make us this vibrant place and expose us to the rest of the world. So I'm going to keep it brief, but I want to thank you all for being our neighbors. We love being here downtown at Capitol Factory, and for caring about making this a better community for all of us. And I look forward to reading the rest of the report and seeing what's coming for the next 20 years. So thanks for having us.